Ring me back when you know what you want to do.
If you're depressed.
Paul?
It's Paula.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do Paula.
Hello. Hello, Alan. I'd like some information about the CND, please. Do you have any the address or telephone number?
The answer is not immediately available, but if you do want to join CND, or if you want information from them, if you send me a stamped self-addressed envelope, I will send you an application form.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
Ta-ra.
Thank you. Bye.
I'll do Edith. Edith's gone already. Hello, Gordon.
Yeah, well, how are you doing?
Very well. Nice of you to ask. Hello, who? Line 1. John.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
I think Scousers are thickheads.
Then you're obviously a Scouser. I'll do to another John.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I want to talk about harassment by the police.
Go ahead.
Well, I was walking down the Swan Lake where I live, and these two policemen pulled me up and that, and, you know, were giving me loads. I'm wondering what I can do about it, like, because they kept on picking on me.
Complain to the Chief Constable. How do, Gail?
Hello, Alan. I've just watched First Tuesday on TV, and I would like to voice my opinion about all these children that are dying from lack of liver transplants. And I wondered, what's your suggestions? What we can do about it? I'm quite willing to give up some of my time, some of my money, but nobody else seems to be doing anything about it. And you know, I'd like to ask you what can I do?
Well, Gail, you said you wanted to talk about children that die from liver transplants.
No.
I think you need to be a bit more specific than that. You mean from lack of them?
That aren't getting liver transplants,
right,
that need them.
Now, is that because there are insufficient donors?
Insufficient donors, but not only that. The way I looked at it, there are donors, but they're having to refuse them because there's lack of funds for the people. They get, I wasn't quite sure of the figures, but the figures were, say, 250,000 in the London area, to pay the surgeons and nurses and whatever to do the transplants. But once that money is run out, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the livers are actually having to be turned away.
The kidneys.
And it was quite upsetting because one girl there had a son 20 months. Well, I have a son 20 months, and he's fit and healthy, and thank the Lord, you know, or thank whoever. He's going to be with us for a lot longer than her little boy, who's only got 12 months to live. And it upset me rather, you know. So can we not do something about it?
The answer is very simply yes. But to what extent do you want to be involved? You could, of course, start a fundraising effort, or you could start a campaigning effort to bring pressure upon the government. Now, which course do you want to take? You could take them both simultaneously, of course.
Well, what do I do? Do I go to my MP, or... you know, I mean, obviously,
a very
money
good
and
point.
time are limited for my own behalf, but I would like to give as much as I possibly can on both parts, you know.
Well, it's a matter of what commitment you want. A very simple way of, if you like, getting your complaint to a member of the government's ears is simply to write to your MP. Now, if enough people do that, you can change Britain overnight. But, of course, enough people won't. Most people are complacent.
This is it. We're all a bit complacent, really.
Indeed. So is the answer for you to campaign in a number of ways to get more people to write individually to their MPs. Don't bother with petitions, they're a waste of time and space.
Well, yeah.
But if you get every single member of a constituency to write to an MP, then I assure you that MP will be rattling sabres in the House before very long. If, of course, every single member of the community wrote to their MP, whatever constituency they are in, it would be dealt with overnight. But the other way is to go and raise money.
Yeah, so you think really that it's money, it all comes down to the old issue again, money?
Indeed it does. At the end of the day, it's whether the brass is there to do the operation. That is what you said was the problem, and the only solution to that problem is money. Now, the money can come from public subscription, or it can come from the government.
But what I can't understand is, why isn't there enough money? You know, I mean, I know they allocate so much money for different types of operations. We all have to wait unless we can afford to pay. But something like that, there just doesn't seem to be enough money. And when children are dying, especially babies, it's very heart-rending. You know, I don't know. It's just very upsetting, really. You know, but we should be positive and say, well, right, come on, what are we going to do?
Well, there's only one complete answer. There's only one thorough answer, and that is to convince the government that it should foot the bill.
Well, they should, but it's getting them to foot it, isn't it, really?
There's only one way to do that.
Right, well, you've said it.
All right.
I'll get my pen out now.
Get your pen out. Write to Mrs. Thatcher. Assuming the woman can read.
Well, she's only female. So.
Well, don't say she's only a female.
Yeah, well.
She's only one person.
Well,
she's not only...
she's
fine.
Yeah. She's no better than anybody else. She's just...
There are those, Gail, that would say she's an awful lot worse, but never mind. Not for me to say such things.
I don't like politics.
Never mind. Well,
but,
it is all about politics, I'm afraid.
Well,
if you wish to change
she's
it,
the woman that's going to help, well, we'll...
I didn't say she would help. You would need an awful lot of people of like mind to yourself to write to her, to convince her to help.
Yeah, well, I hope...
It's all about will it get votes. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
now wish you luck. Ta-ra.
Bye.
How do Carl?
Hello, Alan. About 1 to 2 weeks ago, you said that you hadn't played a Prince record since you brought that bodyguard over. Well, you have. You called him the Singing Furry. Can you remember?
I haven't played a Prince record since he came over here with his bodyguard.
You did. You called him the Singing Furry, that kiss.
Carl, I have not. You can believe what you like. Hello, Hillary.
Hello, Alan. I've had secure and reliable information that your penis is too short to be used.
Well, it shouldn't bother you, even though your name is Hillary. How do Terry?
Hello, Alan. It's Terry, the Supermarionation freak again from Trotwood. Called earlier about Dusty. Thank you for the verification. Just a curiosity, is Oink perhaps a small dolphin-like or octopus-like creature? And if so, what was the name of the space vehicle in Space Patrol? Just another query.
I don't know in both cases.
I'll leave it with you.
All right, ta-ra.
Good night.
How do Tim?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah?
I'd like to talk about the health service.
Go on.
Particularly the private health service. I think it should be abolished.
Why?
Well, for two reasons. I reckon it lengthens the queues for people waiting for operations. And secondly, I don't believe that wealth should influence the health care that you can receive from the state.
Well, the second one is a pure principle, and you're entitled to that. The first one, it increases the waiting list. How does it do that?
Well, they've got facilities for... private hospitals have their own facilities.
Yes.
And if those people can instantly go to the front of the queue, right?
Yes.
So if you've got, say, 50 people waiting for an operation, if you could use the facilities for the private hospital,
But Terry,
they'd increase the number of operations they could do per week.
there is, of course, a problem there. Tim, sorry, not Terry. There is a problem there, and that is that the facilities in private hospitals, I'm not talking about the public facilities that are used for private patients, but the facilities that exist in exclusively private hospitals exist as a result of investment capital of wealthy people.
Well, yeah, I accept that, for use for themselves.
For use for themselves. Now, you do not approve of the creation of that. So I'm sorry to say that they would not be there. If your second principle was taken on board by the government and implemented, those facilities would not be there. Now, they are there. And because they're there, I suggest to you that they actually reduce the waiting list, not increase it. If somebody requires a hernia operation and the list is, just for the purpose of conversation, 100 patients long,
Yeah.
and the patient who is 97th says, well, I'm not waiting. I'm going to pay the 1,500 quid that it costs and get it done outside of the health service, then the health service waiting list diminishes to 99. So it reduces the waiting list. It doesn't increase it.
Yeah, it still doesn't help Fred Bloggs is on the dole.
Well, whether it helps or not, Terry, wasn't the issue. Your first suggestion was that it increased waiting lists. Do you now accept that private medicine can, in fact, reduce waiting lists?
I accept at the moment that if wealthy people are willing to invest in, in their healthcare, well, the fact that facilities are there at the moment, well, I mean, I hold the second principle that I believe that wealth doesn't. So, I mean, I think it should be abolished immediately, and those facilities...
Now, that, as I say, that is a pure principle. But just looking at that, do you believe that a private individual, and it's an open question, but obviously it's good...
invest their money in the state, who can then...
Well, just a moment. Just a moment. Do you believe that a private individual should be entitled to spend their money in whatever way they choose, providing it does no harm to somebody else?
Oh, I accept that, yeah.
So, for example, if I chose to hoik all my money together and spend it on, I don't know, a very fancy motor car, would you object to that?
Well, obviously, of course I wouldn't.
You wouldn't. If I wanted to spend it on alcoholic beverage...
Yeah, I see you driving at.
Well, surely, yes, I mean, I made it clear at the beginning.
Issue. It's got nothing to do with a car or...
It has nothing to do with the car, but surely an individual who has the finance should have the right to spend that money in what way they choose, providing it is not detrimental to others.
Well, no, you're talking about something... If they want to buy some material issue, like, say, a car... Well, I mean, the person's not going to be deprived. Well, he'll deprived if he hasn't got the car. But if he's deprived of health, he's suffering.
But, Terry, sorry, I keep calling you Terry for a reason. Our last caller was called Terry. But if the person has the right to earn the money, they surely then have the right to decide where they will spend it. Now, it may well upset your morality that they have the ability to purchase outside of the health service better health care. For example, chiropody is available in a few cases on the National Health.
Yeah.
Now, I occasionally visit a chiropodist. I never go to a National Health one. I always go to a private one, because I don't want to be mulling about going to a clinic.
Yeah, well,
I want to make an...
It's minor, really.
Minor it is. We're talking about principles, Tim.
Right.
Now, principles are not things that you can dilute. They either exist or they do not. Now, I am not against private medicine when it is outside of the health service. You are.
Yeah.
Now, substantiate your position.
I don't know, just probably for the reasons I've given. I don't know, it's moral.
It just seems immoral. But just think about it in another light. Just try to hide your morals away for the moment, just for the purpose of this conversation. We've already come to terms with the fact that private medicine can actually reduce the waiting list and therefore reduce the pressure on the National Health Service. So if a person chooses to spend his or her money outside of the health service, that means that the money they put into the health service via the national insurance and income tax is actually used not for their immediate and direct benefit, but for another individual. So by using private medicine, they are in fact making a contribution to the health service, are they not?
Yeah,
If their gallstone operation, their gallbladder operation would cost the state 1,500 quid, and they go and spend 1,500 quid in the private healthcare, that means there's 1,500 quid more in the health service to spend on others. Now, what is wrong with a private individual choosing to help the health service because they can't just send the health service some money, so they choose to help it?
I agree you are indirectly reducing the waiting list, but as I say, it's just a point. I point that I don't really agree that somebody should be able to, cut the length of time they're suffering, requiring a certain operation.
But you're asking for an ideal world, because to be perfectly honest, I'm sure if pressed you would say that you don't believe in people suffering anyway. They should have their facilities or their needs dealt with immediately.
See what you mean.
But in this practical society of ours, do you accept that private medicine is a good thing or a bad thing in the society that we have?
And I agree. To some extent, yeah. only because the government can't provide a decent national health service.
Or won't.
Or won't.
There is, of course, the contra-argument that says if the government is able to have its responsibilities removed by the rich, then of course it never will. But that's on your side, not mine.
What the hell is this oink about?
I'm sorry?
What the hell is this oink about?
I'm not really
Stingray.
clear. Oink was a character in Stingray, it would seem.
And what was Stingray?
Well, we can't
I'm a bit
go.
young.
Stingray was some programme on television eons ago.
Right.
Ta-ra.
Okay, bye.
How do, Mel?
Good evening, Alan. I'd like to talk about an item of news that appeared today regarding a pilot, a Libyan pilot, that actually phoned to a Libyan radio station and told them his intention to actually bomb an American target. Are you there?
Yeah?
I think that the decision to keep that particular pilot in the flying school is a very wrong one, which can prove catastrophic and probably fatal, taking into account the unpredictability of the Libyan people.
Indeed, there is a problem, Mel.
Yes?
The authorities don't know who made the phone call. They don't even know that it was genuine.
Apparently, I heard on the news tonight at 10 o'clock, this was ITV,
Yeah?
that they said that they managed to identify the pilot that spoke to the radio,
Yeah.
and they talked to him, and he promised that what I'm quoting his commander,
yes.
a trainer, that said that they talked to him. He promised that it was just a joke and nothing to be taken serious, and he didn't think that that telephone call will be blown into a full-scale.
Well, it might well have been a joke.
Well, it wasn't a joke, really. As far
Well, I'm sorry, Mel. You not laughing at it, but it could so easily have been a joke.
Having said that, supposedly it has been a joke, bearing in mind that 2 years ago a policewoman was killed on the street of London. Apparently it was warning prior to this incident.
Mel, we've got to ask, are you going to suggest that every single Libyan descendant should be thrown out of Britain?
Not at all.
Well, I'm sorry, that's the only way you're going to achieve what you obviously believe to be necessary.
I would add to that I haven't got anything against the Libyan people.
I'm not suggesting you have. You were merely wanting protection from them.
Yes.
Now, if you want protection from them, you either get that protection by draconian measures, or you introduce an element of trust. Now, the person who is responsible for the training of this pilot says, according to your quotation, it would seem believes that, okay, it was a joke, not a particularly funny one, but a joke nonetheless. So if it was a joke, then it was a lousy joke, but I don't think we should condemn every single Libyan living in Britain, or indeed every single Libyan pilot, or even the man that played the joke.
May I add to your comment that particular teacher or flight trainer said that this particular pilot will fly not on his own, and his fellow countrymen will fly not on their own. In other words, not solo, but will be accompanied with an instructor.
Indeed, and that seems to me no, that's not proof. That is a sensible precaution.
Which indeed it is.
It is a sensible precaution, yes. You don't put a fuse in a plug because it doesn't work. You put one in because you want to protect yourself from should it ever be faulty.
I don't disagree with you, Alan.
So it is straightforward. It is a sensible precaution.
You see, I picked up the telephone tonight to ring to you, and because I felt very strongly, I do listen to your programs nearly every other night. As you understand, I'm not English. You can judge by my accent, but it took me some courage to ring you tonight because I felt very strongly about this particular point, bearing in mind that it could be a political motivated move to keep this particular pilot and his friends in this country for various reasons that I don't know, and perhaps you don't know either. But bearing in mind the political situation in the Middle East and what's happened recently with the American forces that were engaged in Libya, I would rather take this particular point and say it is a mistake to keep that particular pilot in this training base with his fellow countrymen on those bases, because my conversation with you might prove to be that that particular decision will be backfire in a catastrophic way, because I know the mentality of the Libyan people, although, having said that, I know I haven't got nothing against the Libyan people whatsoever, as far as that.
When you say, Mel, you know the mentality of the Libyan people, would you like to be more specific with your racist remark?
Certainly. They are very excitable people.
So?
And they react spontaneously.
Where are you from, Mel?
I wouldn't like to say. Because,
well, say anyway. Where are you from?
I'm from Greece.
You're from Greece?
Yes.
Now, there is a statement, and I don't altogether hold with it, that the Latins and the Greeks are very excitable and unpredictable. There was a very strong movement that didn't want Greece in the EEC because they weren't a proper democracy and they weren't a proper country at all.
Absolutely true.
So statements such as yours, that the Libyans are an excitable people, takes us no further forward. You seem to be implying that the Libyan people, we're not talking about the lunatic that runs the place, but the Libyan people are less than you or me. Well, I'm sorry, that opinion you can keep.
Having said what you just said, it didn't let me finish when I said excitable. You asked me to elaborate, so I was saying to you, they will do things spontaneously which they will regret. Although you might say the Greek will do the same.
The English will do the same, Mel.
And the English and other.
Right, so...
But we're talking about life that is in danger, which means...
Mel, we have on our streets groups of marauding youths in Britain going round wearing football colours and stabbing other such youths to their death. Don't tell me the Libyans are excitable. Don't tell me the Greeks are excitable. The British are excitable. They have the stiff upper lip, rolled umbrella and bowler, are just as excitable.
I'm talking about a danger that can come from the air.
We accept the danger. I accept the danger, and indeed so does the school, and they have taken precautionary measures.
Is this precautionary measures are justifiable in their means to justify or prevent a catastrophic attack?
Well, first of all, I don't think you would prevent such an attack if somebody wanted.
If somebody is determined.
If somebody is determined.
They're absolutely right. But
so, given that you cannot prevent it, what we have to try and do is deal with the problem in a way that isn't evidence of our excitability. You're saying that the Libyans are excitable. Well, perhaps you imply in that the British are not, and perhaps what we ought to do is provide evidence of that by not overreacting to what might just easily have been a very stupid, irresponsible joke.
That's absolutely true. I would add, when I say it, excitable, I would add that they are passionate about the cause, and unpredictable would be probably the word. Hello?
I don't
Are you
think.
there?
Yes, I don't think anyone would have.
Unpredictable.
I don't think anyone would have predicted that Mrs. Thatcher would send 3,000 Argentinian military men to their deaths over a lump of rock that no one had ever even heard of in this country. We are just as unpredictable as the next.
Having said that...
Well, having said all sorts of things, Mel, you believe that some more strong action should be taken against that particular Libyan and his colleagues.
Absolutely.
I disagree with you on the basis of what you've told me.
Being unpredictable in the nature, I think you would probably will agree with me deep in your heart.
But Mel,
yes.
You have the right to give me your opinion. Do not ever consider that you know mine.
No.
How do May?
Hello, Alan. In a lighter vein, Oink was not a humanoid. He was a funny little creature, had a funny nose, and very similar to E.T. Well, he looked like E.T.
He sounds very much like one of my colleagues here at Red Rose.
Oh, yeah. The only thing this business of what was it, Four Feather Falls and now Oink has done. I've been knitting, but I've had to put it down because I started to write down a list of all the old...
Oh, no, please don't.
I do, honestly, I've got to 22 at the moment because I'm going back from when my family are grown up now. I'm going back from when my little we used to watch, Ragtag and Bobtail.
Oh, wonderful telly. Wonderful telly.
Bill and Ben and Joe 90.
Smart. Where's it all gone, I ask myself?
Finger Bobs and the Space Patrol I had down before that gentleman mentioned it. Tales of the Riverbank, Torchy, Fireball.
Tales of the Riverbank were wonderful.
They were lovely, weren't they?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Toy Town.
Those were the days.
Oh, great. But that's what Oink was, like a funny little creature.
Right.
That used to take over the machine when they were off doing something else.
Thank you greatly for that, mate.
Okay, love.
Ta-ra.
Bye, love.
Whoops, Alan's gone. Never mind. Oh, no, he's not. Hello, Alan.
All right, Alan.
We've got you.
I was listening to a Mickey Mouse last night on your programme, and it was on about the police in Wigan. Now, I'm hard to say, the police will not pull anybody up unless they're doing something wrong, will they?
Cobblers.
Cobblers. Well, I don't know.
I don't care that you don't know. I've just told you. It's absolute cobblers. The police pull people up just because they feel like. The police pull people up just because they look like they're not over 30.
Well, they can do, but...
There's no say about they can do. Your statement was that they don't. The fact is that they do.
Well, they do then, yes.
Thank you. Goodbye. Stephen will be with you tomorrow, because right now, or tomorrow, if you prefer, because right now it's news time, and we go down the electronic highway, as I like to say, to London for IRN.
The Midnight News, this is Therese Birch.
Ring him if you dare. Allan Beswick, the Late Night Show.
And you ring him on Preston 561,000. Hello, Stephen.
Yeah, Alan, I'd like to talk about YTS. Oh, I've been offered a position, right? Hello? You still there?
Been offered a position.
Been offered a position on a YTS. I think that they're a load of bull, like, but Mum and Dad thinks they've been on at me all the time to go on the YTS. And I think it's just rubbish, and it's a 2-year scheme, and it's complete slave labour.
Well, first of all, it is not slave labour. You get paid. You might not get paid much, but if you get them paid at all, it's not slave labour.
Yeah.
It is cheap labour. It is also a fact that it enhances your chance of getting a proper job, although it does not guarantee it.
But you know, after the end of the YTS...
At the end of the YTS, you may well be back on the dole, but you will have had 2 years' work experience, and if you do not go on the YTS, when you go and apply for jobs, they will say, have you been on a YTS? And you will say no, and they'll say, good night, Vienna. How do, Ray?
Hello. Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about Rudolph Hess. Don't you think it's time the...
What do you want to say about him, Ray? I don't answer questions. Start conversations.
Well, I think it's time they released him from prison.
Why?
Well, I think he's been in long enough. I mean, he's 92 years old now. And it's costing the taxpayer a fortune to keep him in. It's costing the taxpayer of Britain a fortune, as well as the United States.
He was sentenced to life at a time when he could just so easily have been sentenced to death.
Yes, I know, I realise that, but I think he knows information on war secrets defamatory to sides in this war: Russia, United States, Britain, and I think that they should let him be released to prove otherwise. That's one reason.
Well, of course, I'm forced to say to you, have you anything to substantiate that?
From personal point of view, no, but I have read a lot on war.
Well, Ray, let me tell you that the British government, the American government and the French government have all expressed the opinion that they want him to be released.
And it's Russia that's vetoing it.
Indeed. So your suggestion that he may well be aware of war secrets, which I presume you mean war atrocities, performed by the Allied forces, is somewhat diluted, if not rendered completely inert, by their desire to have him released. I can tell you quite simply, and you don't need to read a lot of books to find it out, the reason he has not been released is very simply that the Russians do not want him released. I can tell you also that, as far as I'm concerned, the reasons that the Russians do not want him released is because it gives them the ability, one week a month, or is it 1 month turnabout, however, but it gives them free access to West Berlin, which they will not have when Hess is released. That is why Hess is still locked up.
I thought it was an excuse for the Russians as well, but I do believe that he knows information that he came over with that has been withheld, and that's another reason why I'd ask for his release. Or
would you like to conject as to what that information might be?
Well, he obviously came over in 1941 with some kind of a peace formula for a start.
The details of which have been published.
The complete details have been published regarding that, have they?
The answer to that is no one knows.
There's also a lot of stories regarding information. He was the head of the fifth column activities abroad, and they had a lot of he had a lot of information on Russian activities with Russia, which may be why they don't want him released, the Russians.
I doubt that any of the information he had during the war is of any relevance now. The only harm such information could do this day is in terms of the, I suppose, bad publicity from it. The intelligence he has in terms of espionage-type intelligence will be well out of date.
Yeah, one. I'll tell you one aspect I was thinking of. Is royal. He had the royal family have a connection with the German family, the German royal family, and the Germans wanted the British to be on their side in the Second World War. And I think he had either plans for the combining of the forces or information regarding the possible in 1939.
But Ray, I don't see that would do the current Western governments any harm in that they rejected his suggestion, if indeed that was the suggestion.
That's true, but we don't know the full story.
Well, indeed we don't, but if you're going to invent stories, Ray, I suggest you invent ones that are more probable.
No, that's not an invented story. That is, there is a lot of facts regarding this.
The point I'm trying to make to you, Ray, which seems to escape you, but given what you've said so far, it doesn't surprise me. But the point I'm trying to make to you is, for the British government to want to keep him in, and we mustn't escape the fact that they don't, but for the British government to want to keep them in, there must be a reason. Now, the reason you're putting forward is one that you say already exists, so it's not going to do them any harm, is it?
No.
So far, you've told me this. You've told me that the reason the Brits don't want to release him is because he's got some secret. I asked you what that secret was, and you told us, and then you told us that we're already aware of this. Well, it's hardly a secret if we already know. Basically, Ray, you're talking about gibberish.
I was just giving you one example there.
That isn't an example of a secret, is it? An example of a secret isn't telling me something that the public already know, you buffoon.
Right, well, I'll give you another one then.
Oh, good.
All the Jews that were massacred at the beginning of the war, which information was probably known about, but I'm not too sure. But
what do you mean? You were going to give me an example, Ray. You're now telling me you don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe
Ray, you're wasting your breath, Ray. All of this is based on the premise that Britain do not want to release Rudolf Hess. They do.
I'm not sure whether they do want to release.
Well, they do. They have actually. They have. Well, I'm not saying. History books will tell you. Recent history is that there have been many, many occasions when the Britons, the Americans, and the French have been involved trying to get the Russians to release Rudolf Hess, to agree. It's got to be a joint decision.
I see. So the only way...
So, Ray, all your conjecture is based on a false premise and, as a result, is bullcrap. How do, Stephanie?
Alan?
Yes?
I ordered these tapes, and 3 tapes, and I didn't receive them. And I got a letter to say, do you mind paying for the tapes? So I phoned them up. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't received the tapes. I did order them, but I haven't received them. So anyway, I got, a few more letters, and I just kept ringing them up. Even in the end, I just ignored them. And now I've got another letter to say that administration charges £12.50 and they have to pay £8.
Stephanie, write back to them and say, I do not have the tapes. I have never received the tapes. If you write me one more letter, I will be required to charge you £5 an hour for replying to your letters.
Do you think I should go and see a solicitor?
Not yet, no. It's going to cost you more money to maul about with a solicitor, unless you've got... you're likely to get legal aid. Are you?
Well, I'm in a low-paid job, so...
Then there's a possibility that you'll get legal aid. But if you're not going to get the green form scheme, which is the first stage of legal aid, then it's not worth paying a solicitor.
They're saying now that they're going to take legal action.
Well, just write back to them and say, I'll be perfectly happy to meet you in a courtroom anywhere you like. I'll be suing you for a loss of a day's pay for inconvenience and defamation.
OK, then.
All right?
Anyway.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
How do, Carl?
Hello, Alan. Ringing up. I live in Kitgreen and there's a shop near us, and I go in there every so often to buy packets.
Goodbye, Carl. How do, Graham?
Hi, Alan. I'd just like to stress the point which has been in the paper the past month about Ian Botham, the way he's been treated by the press. It slags him down to the T. The way he didn't get any runs in one game, whereas, say, Gower and Robinson and the rest of the crew didn't hardly get any runs, but it was only Botham who got slagged down. Maybe the others have as well. And the way he raised all the money for leukemia.
Well, Graham, we have a problem. In one breath you say he was the only one that got slagged down. Maybe the others have as well. That's a contradiction. Rehearse your English and ring me back. Hello, John?
Hello, Alan? Hello?
What do you want?
I'd like to talk about nuclear arms if I could, please.
Well, nobody's stopping you.
No. Well, I was wondering with this Colonel Gaddafi raid, you fat slut!
Too slow, Pratt. Out of Gene.
Hello, Alan. Someone was on earlier about Joe 90.
Yes.
Well, could you tell me what was the programme that Aqua Marina was in?
No, I couldn't.
Marina, Aqua Marina.
No, I couldn't. I don't remember.
Okay, then.
All right, ta-ra.
Do you not remember?
I just said that.
Do you not remember Four Feather Falls?
Yes, I do. She wasn't in that.
No, I know she wasn't in that, but do you remember Four Feather Falls?
Yes, we were talking about it earlier on the programme.
What a brilliant programme. I didn't hear, actually.
Oh, well.
What a brilliant programme that
If you'd have been listening to this brilliant programme, you would have heard. He used to shoot his guns just by putting his arms up.
That's it.
Always struck me as being a dirty trick. Never mind.
It was great.
Ta-ra.
So you don't remember Aquamarine?
I just said that.
Okay,
bye. How do, Mark?
Hello? Can you tell me when you're in Southport, please?
Yes, I can.
Oh, will you?
Yes, I will. Hang on a minute. The 23rd of April at the Scaresbrick Hotel, Southport. And it's not an argue with Alan.
Mate, what is it?
I've no idea.
Can I tell you a joke?
No. How do Craig?
Hello, Mr. Beswick. Last night, after your show, I was playing out of my tuning button.
Good. How do Irene?
Hello, Alan. I've been reading about this fire at Hampton Court. Surely it was insured. So why did the government have
It wasn't insured.
Oh?
The government rarely insure buildings.
Well, it belonged to the Queen, didn't it?
It belongs, I suppose, technically to the Queen, but it is operated, controlled, and in reality owned by the government, and it is not insured.
Oh. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. How do Barney?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk to you about Queen and waste of money. A couple of weeks ago, she couldn't wig in. About 2 weeks before that, they were spending a couple of thousand just painting the buildings round where she would be. Now, surely they'll be able, spend that money on the health centre, other things like, useful things like that.
I agree wholeheartedly, but you can hardly blame the Queen for that. How do Carl? Can't hear you, Carl. You've got an awful line. You'll have to ring back on Preston 561,000. Sorry. How do Ron?
Hello, Alan. I'd just like to correct a fact the bloke made a couple of, about 10 minutes ago about Hess. He said that Hess was the head of, Hitler's fifth column. Well, there's no such fifth column. It was a figment of Hitler's imagination, to put the fear of God into people by stating he had a fifth column. So I'd just like to clear that fact up.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Right.
Ta-ra. Jill will be with you after the break. Jill.
Hello, Alan. Why are there only two bearers at a Scouser's funeral?
I've no idea.
There's only two handles on a dustbin.
That's disgraceful. How do John or Tom?
Yeah. Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask you a question. Was you born and bred in Lancashire?
Yes.
Yes. Well, Alan, I'm afraid to have to tell you, but for a Lancashire-born person, you put up a very bad front for the north, where northern people are supposed to be friendly, welcoming, and easy to talk to.
I don't give a stuff.
Well, neither do I.
Good. How do John?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
Aquamarina is in Stingray.
Thank you. How do Kevin?
Hello? Now, as I believe that you were a former member of the Brookside cast, is this true?
No.
Well, you'll remember Tom Curzon. Now, he was a failure, and about 6 months ago, me and my friend...
Who's Tom Curzon?
He was getting married to Heather.
Oh, him. Yes, the millionaire.
Yeah.
And that's a failure?
Well, he did fail in the end because she packed him off, didn't she?
Still had his £1,000,000.
Pardon?
I said he still had his £1,000,000.
True, yeah, but love's stronger than money, isn't it?
On that occasion, no.
It was in his case.
Well, it can't have been that much stronger. He didn't marry her.
But that was through his fault.
If you wish. Go on, get on with your point anyway.
Right, well, 6 months ago, me and all my friends all had really nice girlfriends, and we were all planning to get married, and all four of us to get married on the same day. Now, it all turned out that we've all finished, and we don't see any of them anymore.
Well, I'm sure they're very relieved about that. How do Ivan?
We are Burnley.
I'm sure you are. How do Phil?
Hello, Alan. I was listening to your show last week, and you were talking about war. That if everyone refused to take up arms, the war would be non-existent. Is that correct?
That is what I said, and yes, it is correct.
If that happened, and it took place over the last century, would we not have a serious population problem?
Are you suggesting that warfare is second stage birth control?
Well, I believe that Mother Nature has ways of keeping the
Mother
population...
Nature didn't invent the rifle.
I understand that man invented the rifle.
Yes.
But it's the deep desire in man that may have been put there by Mother Nature.
Deep desire what? To do what?
To cause war, to fight each other.
War is not a natural phenomenon. Yes, to fight one another can be deemed to be a natural phenomenon, but it is not, by any stretch of the imagination, war is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a natural phenomenon.
Well, the fact that...
Are you suggesting, Phil, that war is a good thing because it keeps down the population?
I'm not suggesting...
So does gassing yourself, Phil. Go and do it. How do Chris?
Hi, Joel. I would like to talk about denationalisation. I don't actually believe that denationalisation is a help. If once a company becomes private, it reduces the services to the people.
I'm sure that a lot of people would agree with that point of view. But in many cases of denationalisation, there's one classic one that we're both using at the moment, it's done quite the opposite.
Is British Telecom really denationalised? Well, sure, the government still own more than 50% of the shares on the company.
It is still a private trading company and and trades without any interference from government.
Ooh, I wouldn't be too sure about that.
Well, whether you would or wouldn't is irrelevant.
I do actually know that the government have actually told British Telecom that they have to provide space in their exchanges for rival companies to actually install equipment.
Indeed, they have not been told by government, they've been told by the courts. Chris, if you knew, as well as you said you knew, you would be able to agree or challenge that point of view. You are not able to. Therefore, your knowledge is not as thorough as you claimed it was. Goodbye. Hello, Kenny.
Hello, Alan. Alan, I've just phoned.
I know you have. How do Joan? How do Joe?
Alan, would it be possible to take an air rifle over to Southern Ireland?
Possible, yes. Whether it would be legal is another question. I suggest you consult with the authorities. I don't talk to people called Trigger, so we'll miss him or her out and go to Ian. This is your last chance, Ian, and it has expired. How do Christopher?
Hello, Alan.
What can we do for you? Turn your radio off, Christopher, and ring me back when you understand the programme. How do Gail? Busy making lemon curd, obviously. Hello, David.
Hello, Alan. Just like to contradict the lady that was on earlier on about the oink. It was Maria's pet baby seal.
It was whose?
Maria's pet baby seal. It was Troy Tempest's girlfriend, Maria. It was her baby seal.
Well, we're all fascinated by that, David.
Thank you very much.
Ta-ra. How do Lindsay?
Right.